What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of J&D Sports Talk. In this episode, I'm going to be giving you my NFL Week 11 reactions. What I think about this week of football, talk about how your favorite team did, stuff like that. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So first off, the Panthers were on a bye this week, so they did not play. Went into a bye with a two-game win streak. And now we are looking to take on Kansas City and get the win. But this week, we had the Baltimore Ravens. Whoa, that's not Thursday night. Excuse me. We had the Washington Commanders going to Philly to take on the Eagles. Eagles won this game 26-18. The Eagles defense had the Commanders offense lost. I mean, the Eagles played really good defense in this game. It was all Eagles defense, and then Saquon Barkley scored 2 touchdowns in 12 seconds in the fourth quarter to get the win. Jaden Daniels had a rough game. Like I said, the Eagles' defensive scheme this game was just really good. 22 for 32, 191 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Brian Robinson ran one in, and Zach Ertz had a receiving touchdown against his former team. Jeremy Chinn, the former Panther, led the team in tackles with 13, and they didn't get any interceptions, but Zane Gonzalez was 1 for 1 on field goals. Longest was from 45. 69,879 people at Lincoln Financial Field for this game. Yeah, I mean, it was a good one. Started out a little boring with all the field goals, but then it got rolling, and the Eagles got the win. Meanwhile, for the Eagles offense, Eagles side, Hurts went 18 for 28, 221 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Saquon ran 2 in. Hurts ran 1 in on a tush push. Saquon Barkley had a really good day. 26 carries, 146 yards. Like I said, 2 touchdowns. And A.J. Brown led the team in receiving with 65 yards. And Zach Bond led the team in tackles with 15. And a tackle, Eagles had 8 tackles for loss and 4 pass deflections. Reed Blankenship, the safety, had an interception for Philly, and Cooper DeJean, which is not a safety, by the way, was a punt returner, and Jake Elliott, 2 for 4 on field goals. Longest was from 31. Like I said, though, it was kind of boring at first, but once Philly's defense had Washington rattled, and then they just ran away with it. Eagles had more first downs, way more total yards. Eagles had a lot of yards. They just didn't finish drives. Higher passing yards, more rushing yards, and same amount of penalties, less turnovers, and more possession time. Moving on, we got one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL. We got the Baltimore Ravens going to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Steelers got the win 18-16. Steelers did not score a single touchdown. All field goals, 5 for 5 for Boswell, leading this team to victory. Like I said, the Panthers were on a bye week this week, so this is what I did. I watched Ravens and Steelers at 1 o'clock. And then in commercials, I watched Red Zone. And then after this game, I watched, remaining of the 1 o'clock games. And then, which this was the last 1 o'clock game to finish anyway. And then at 4 o'clock, I watched the Bills and Chiefs. And then commercials was Red Zone. And then Sunday night, obviously, Bengals and Chargers. But this game, Ravens, they scored 1 touchdown. This game was low-key boring. A lot of defense, but I don't believe that, yes, I picked the Steelers to win. I got this pick right. But I don't believe that a team should win without scoring any touchdowns. But that's just me. But Lamar, he did not have a good game. I don't care what you say. 207 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Derrick Henry ran in a touchdown. That was their only touchdown. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Zay Flowers also had a touchdown. I forgot about that. That was late in the game. Then they missed a 2-point conversion. Looked like confusion with Isaiah Likely and Nelson Aguilar. But Isaiah Likely led the team in receiving, 4 catches, 75 yards. Roquan Smith led the team in tackles with 13. Baltimore had 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. Marlon Humphrey had an interception, and Tylan Wallace was a punt returner for Baltimore, and Justin Tucker did not have a good day kicking. 1 for 3. His only field goal was from 54. Like I said, he did not have a good day. And by the way, Eddie Pinheiro is the most accurate kicker in NFL history right now. 67,551 people in attendance at Cruiser Stadium. Meanwhile, for the Steelers, Russell Wilson went 22 for 36, 205 yards, 0 touchdowns, and an interception. Let me tell you guys something. Okay? Fantasy football. You guys should know what that is. I've seen the numbers Russell Wilson has been putting up. Okay? He's been putting up good numbers for the Steelers. So I decided to cut Jordan Love. I do think Jordan Love is a better quarterback, but for fantasy, Jordan Love has had more interceptions this year, kind of hurt. Russell's been playing good. I signed him, and I decided to start him this week against the NFL's worst pass defense, and he gave me 6 points. Meanwhile, I had Jared Goff on my bench, and they lit up the scoreboard with 52, and he had 34 points. Gotta love fantasy football. Najee Harris led the team in rushing with 63 yards. George Pickens had almost 100 yards. He had 89. And Patrick Queen led the team in tackles with 10. Steelers had 2 sacks, one by TJ Watt and one by Dean Laurie. 3 tackles for loss, 6 pass deflections. Peyton Wilson had an interception for the Steelers. And Chris Boswell went 6 for 6 on field goals. Oh, excuse me, 6. I said 5 earlier. I meant 6. Sorry. Longest was from 57. Boswell had a good day. I mean, he's probably going to win Special Teams Player of the Week. He should. And he led the Steelers to a victory here in the rivalry. And now Lamar is 1-4 against the Steelers. Meanwhile, we got BTA, belt to ass. Jaguars lost to the Lions 52-6. Jaguars dropped to 2-9. Meanwhile, the Lions improved to 9-1 right now. They are the best team in the NFL. And it's not close. They're putting up a lot of points, playing good defense, playing physical, great culture, great team. Mac Jones threw an interception, 138 yards. ETN didn't have a good game. No one had a good game on the Jags. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm not even going to read anything from the Jaguars from this game. Lions, 24 for 29, 412 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The quarterback guy decided to bench this week. Jared Goff with a 158.3 perfect passer rating. I kind of feel like Jared Goff is MVP right now. What do you guys think? David Montgomery, this is going to be long, ran 2 touchdowns in. Jahmyr Gibbs ran a touchdown in. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 2 touchdowns. He had 161 yards on 11 catches. J-Mo caught a touchdown. And Brock Wright caught a touchdown. Jack Campbell led the team in tackles with 9. Detroit had 1 sack. That was a half by Zadarius Smith, his Lions debut, and Jack Campbell. 3 tackles for loss and 2 pass deflections. Kirby Joseph with an interception, and Jake Bates went 1 for 1 on field goal. Longest was from 54, which was his only one. 64,273 people in attendance at Ford Field. This was straight domination, obviously, by a score. Lions had like 7 drives, 8 drives, and all of them were touchdown. Yeah, I mean, Lions had 76 plays, 645 total yards, 449 passing yards, 196 rushing yards. This is crazy. Crazy. Lions, you are the number 1 Super Bowl contender right now. Meanwhile, for the Jaguars, there's always next year. All right, next up we got the Los Angeles Rams going across the country to take on the New England Patriots. Rams improved to 5-5. Meanwhile, the Patriots dropped to 3-8. This was a good game. Excuse me. Matthew Stafford had a good game. 18 for 27, 295 yards, 4 touchdowns. He wasn't sacked once. Kyren Williams almost had 100 yards on the ground. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp had over 100 yards combined. Puka had 123 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Excuse me. Quentin Lake led the team in tackles with 11, as well as Christian Roseboom. They both had 11. 3 sacks for the Rams, 6 tackles for loss, 8 pass deflections. Cameron Kinchins had an interception, and Joshua Carty went 0 for 1 on field goals. 64,628 people in attendance for this game. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, Drake May had a good game, 2 touchdowns and a pick, 282 yards. Stevenson led the team in rushing with 73 yards. Kendrick Bourne caught a touchdown, as well as veteran Lowy. Marcus Jones led the team in tackles with 9. Patriots didn't have any sacks, any tackles for loss. They had 2 pass deflections. And Joey Sly went 3 for 3 on field goals. Longest was from 42. Yeah, it was a good game. Went as expected. Rams are a bridge playoff team looking to make the playoffs. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, they're playing good ball, but it's just not their year. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns going to New Orleans. This was a weird game. It was 14-14. Then it turned to 35-14 all of a sudden. Jameis Winston against his old team. 2 touchdowns, almost 400 yards. Nick Chubb had 50 yards on the ground. Jerry Jeudy had a touchdown on 6 catches, 142 yards. And Elijah Moore had a touchdown, 6 catches, 66 yards. Grant Delpit had 9 tackles, led the team. And Denzel Ward had an interception. Dustin Hopkins went 0 for 2 on field goals. And the Saints had 70,006 people in attendance at the Caesars Superdome. Meanwhile, for the Saints, Derek Carr had a good game. 21 for 27, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns. Taysom Hill had a really good game. He ran 3 and 7 carries, 138 yards. Also in receiving, he had 8 catches, 50 yards. MVS had a touchdown, and Juwan Johnson had a touchdown. Demario Davis had 13 tackles, led the team. Saints had 3 sacks, 1.5 by Brian Brees, and 1.5 by Chase Young. And also 1 by Carl Granderson. They had 5 tackles for loss and 5 pass deflections. And Blake Grupe didn't attempt a field goal. It was weird. Went from 14-14 to 35-14, and the Saints are 2-0 under Darren Rizzi. Next up, we got the Super Bowl contending Jets at home, taking up to the Indianapolis Colts. Jets lost 27-28. Anthony Richardson, in his first game back from being benched, did a really good job. 20 for 30, 272 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor had 57 yards on the ground. Anthony Richardson ran 2 in, so total 3 touchdowns for AR. Josh Downs had a good game. 5 catches, 84 with a touchdown. And EJ Speed led the team in tackles with 9. The Colts had 3 sacks, 2 by Kwity Paye and 1 by Laiatu Latu. 6 tackles for loss and 2 pass deflections. Matt Gay went 3 for 3 on field goals. Longest was from 56. And 80,582 at MetLife Stadium to watch their home team get crappled. Meanwhile, for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, 22 for 29, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, 114 passer rating. Breece Hall, 18 carries, 78 yards, and a touchdown. Devontae Adams led the team in receiving with 72 yards. Breece Hall caught a touchdown. And Michael Clemens led the team in tackles with 8. Jets had 2 sacks, 1 by Javon Kinlaw and 1 by Quentin Williams. 7 tackles for loss and 1 pass deflection. And Andrews Carlson led the team in field goals with 2. 2 for 2. 58 was his long. AR came back and lit it up. And the Jets continue to be the Jets. Quote-unquote Super Bowl contenders. Next up, we got the Minnesota Vikings going to Tennessee to get a expected win over the Titans. Not much to say there. Sam Darnold, 12 incompletions, 2 touchdowns, 246 yards. Sam Darnold ran one in. Justin Jefferson, 81 yards. Jordan Addison had a touchdown. And Cam Akers had a touchdown. Andrew Van Ginkel led the team in tackles with 8. Minnesota had 5 sacks, 2 by Andrew Van Ginkel, 2 by Pat Jones, and 1 by Blake Cashman. 10 tackles for loss and 2 passing deflections. Harrison Smith had an interception, and John Parker Roma went 1 for 1 on field goals. 67,686 people in attendance. Meanwhile, for the Titans, Will Levis, 17 for 31, 295 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Levis led the team in rushing. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine did have a good touchdown. That was like 98 yards. 2 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown for him. And Kenneth Murray Jr. led the team in tackles with 10. Titans had 2 sacks as a team. 1 by Kenneth Murray Jr. and 1 by Arden Key. They had 6 tackles for loss and 2 pass deflections. And Nick Folk went 2 for 2 on field goals long from 43. It seemed like an alright game. It went as expected. Vikings win this one. I called an upset. I thought maybe, Titans would pull off an upset at home, but they didn't, and they are dropping to 2-8. Meanwhile, the Vikings improved to 8-2. Alright, next up we got the Las Vegas Raiders going to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Dolphins trying to keep their season alive with a 34-19 win over the Raiders. Gardner Minshew, 2 touchdowns and a pick. 282 yards. Jacoby Myers led the team in rushing, even though he had 1 carry for 20 yards. Brock Bowers looking like a great tight end. Probably one of the best in the league. He had 12 catches, 13 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown. Amir Abdullah also caught a touchdown. Jacoby Myers, he had 4 catches, 28 yards. Robert Spleen, the tackle monster, who has 57 solo tackles of the year, led the team in tackles with 11. Raiders had 2 sacks, 1 by Adam Butler and 1 by Tyree Wilson. Raiders had 10 tackles for loss and 2 pass deflections. Daniel Carlson went 2 for 2 on field goals long from 27. There were 65,443 people in attendance for this one at Hard Rock Stadium. Meanwhile, for the Dolphins, 2 had a good game. 28 for 36, 288 yards, 3 touchdowns. Devin Achane led the team in rushing with 17 carries, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Jonnu Smith had a good game. 6 catches, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill also caught a touchdown. And Jordan Brooks, who they just got from Seattle, led the team in tackles with 12. Miami had 3 sacks, 1 by Calais Campbell, Emmanuel Ogbah, and Zach Sayer. Jason Sanders went 2 for 2 on field goals long from 46. It was a good game. High scoring, especially for the Dolphins. Dolphins, we all know the story with them. They're trying to keep their season alive. Meanwhile, the Raiders are just ready for the offseason. And last game in the early window for Sunday, we got the Green Bay Packers beating the Chicago Bears 20-19. It's always funny to me how the Bears find new ways to lose. And I think they should keep Eberflus. It's not his fault. He's a great coach. Green Bay, 13 for 17, 261 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Josh Jacobs led the team in rushing with a touchdown. Jordan Love also ran one in. Christian Watson had 4 catches, 150 yards. He had a good game. Jaden Reed caught a touchdown. Xavier McKinney led the team in tackles with 9, as well as Carrington Valentine. Green Bay had 3 sacks, 1 by Rashawn Gary, Brandon Cox Jr., and TJ Slaton. 4 tackles for loss and a pass deflection. Brandon McManus didn't attempt a field goal. 59,000. Whoa, new attendance low. 59,419 in attendance to watch the Bears. Caleb Williams had a good game. He looked better this one, but still didn't throw a touchdown. 23 for 31, 231 yards. DeAndre Swift ran one in. Rashawn Johnson also ran one in. Roma Dudze, 6 catches, 65 yards. Kevin Byard led the team in tackles with 9. Bears had 1 sack, and that was by, guess who? DeMarcus Walker. 5 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections. Terrell Smith had an interception, and Carlos Santos went 2 for 2 on field goals. Longest was for 53. You know the story. Bears had a chance. Caleb Williams led a good drive, and the field goal was blocked. So yeah, that's how the Bears lose this one. It's funny, honestly. All right, guys, moving on to the next game. We got the Atlanta Falcons going to Denver to take on the Broncos. This game was a butt whooping. The Broncos won 38-6. Bo Nix had a really good game. He's having a good rookie season. He might even be the best rookie quarterback so far. Him and Daniels are definitely the candidates for that. Drake May has been good too. But meanwhile, for the Falcons, Kirk Cousins threw an interception, 173 yards. Bijan had 35 yards. Drake London led the team in receiving with 61 yards on 3 catches. Caden Ellis and Jesse Bates led the team in tackles with 10. Atlanta had 1 sack, 5 pass deflections, 5 tackles for loss, and 2 pass deflections. And Yunhu Poo went 2 for 2 on field goals long from 51. Attendance was 76,545 at Empower Field. Atlanta did not play good. I watched Chiefs and Bills during this game. Atlanta got pooped on by Denver. I got this game correct. I picked Denver. This was actually the only one of the 3 late window games I got right. But taking a look at Denver, Bo Nix went over 300 yards. He threw 4 touchdowns on the Falcons' secondary. 145 passer rating. Javonte Williams ran 1 in. Cortland Sutton led the team in receiving with 78 yards. Lil Jordan Humphrey had a touchdown. Marvin Mims Jr. had a touchdown. Troy Franklin had a touchdown. And Nate Adkins had a touchdown. Jaquan McMillan led the team in tackles with 9. They had 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and 5 pass deflections. Will Lutz went 1 for 1 on field goals long from 45. Good game for Denver. You know, Atlanta did not play good at all. Like I said, I was paying attention to the Chiefs and Bills game, but Denver got the job done in a very big way. Next up, we got the Seattle Seahawks going to San Fran to take on the overrated potential fraud Niners, who needs to move on from Shanahan. He's been doing the same things for the last couple of years. It's not working. He's not designing new plays. They rely too much on McCaffrey. Debo's running the same routes. If you know ball, you get it. But Seattle gets a win here, 20-17. They improved to 5-5. Meanwhile, Niners are 5-5. Cardinals are the best team in that division so far. But Geno Smith threw for 221 yards and an interception. Kenneth Walker ran a touchdown in as long as Geno Smith. Jackson Smith-Njigba had 10 catches, 110 yards. He led the team in receiving. Ernest Jones led the team in tackles with 13. And they had 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 6 pass deflections. Jonathan Hankins had an interception. And Jason Myers went 2 for 2 on field goals long for 57. 751 people in attendance for this game. You know, Seattle got the job done. It was a close one. Geno Smith scored with like 13 seconds left. He ran 1 in. Meanwhile, for the Niners, Brock Purdy, 159 yards, a touchdown. McCaffrey led the team in rushing with 79. Brock Purdy ran 1 in. Juwan Jennings has been the Niners' best receiver this year. He had 10 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Diamador Lenore and Renardo Green led the team in tackles with 8. Niners had 4 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 3 pass deflections. Isaac Widom had an interception, and Jake Moody went 1 for 1 on field goals long from 33. So yeah, you know, Niners are not playing good ball. They should be playing better. They should be like 2 or 3 games above 500. Meanwhile, for Seattle, they're just one of those teams that's going to be sticking around 500, trying to make the playoffs. All right, moving on. We got the Buffalo Bills handing Kansas City their first loss of the season. Buffalo improved to 9-2. Meanwhile, the Chiefs dropped to 9-1. This was a good game. It looked like Chiefs at the beginning, then Buffalo climbed back, and it was back and forth, and Buffalo ran away with it. Mahomes didn't have the best game, but he had 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 196 yards. Kareem Hunt had 60 yards. Xavier Worthy caught a touchdown. Noah Gray caught 2 touchdowns. Chamari Connor and Nazeeh Johnson and Drew Tranquil led the team in tackles with 8. Kansas City had no sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 pass deflections. Chamari Connor had an interception of 29 return yards, and Spencer Schrader didn't attempt a field goal. 71,112 people had attendance at Highmark Stadium. This was Chiefs. This was a good game. Didn't play their best football. Obviously, that's because they lost. But they played good. Buffalo played better. Buffalo had a really good game. Allen had a really good game too. 262 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. The pick wasn't really his fault. It was miscommunication. Allen ran one in. Khalil Shakir led the team in receiving. Curtis Samuel caught the touchdown. Terrell Bernard led the team in tackles with 8. And Buffalo had 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 5 pass deflections. Taylor Rapp and Terrell Bernard had interceptions. And Tyler Bass went 1 for 1 on field goals. Longest was from 33. He did miss an extra point, though. This was a good game. I picked Kansas City because I said I was going to pick them until they lost, which I stuck to that, and Buffalo was the team to do that. Just so you know, Kansas City, we're coming for you. Carolina's coming for you. All right, Sunday Night Football. It doesn't matter what Joe Burrow does. He still loses. 3 touchdowns, 356 yards. Chase Brown had 86 yards on the ground. T. Higgins caught a touchdown. Jamar caught 2 touchdowns. Geno Stone led the team in tackles with 9. Cincinnati had 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 9 pass deflections. And Evan McPherson went 2 for 4 on field goals. The 2 field goals he missed could have won them the game, respectively. I feel bad for Burrow, man. It doesn't matter what he does. They just don't win. It's crazy. They just don't win. It's not his fault. They dropped to 4-7, 70,240 in attendance. Meanwhile, for the Chargers, I have a sore throat today, guys. I have a cold, so bear with me. 297 yards, 2 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins ran 2 in. Ladd McConkey led the team in receiving with 123 yards on 6 catches. Will Disley had a touchdown, and Quentin Johnson had a touchdown. Dane Henley led the team in tackles with 11. 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and 10 pass deflections. Cameron Dicker went 2 for 2 on field goals. Longest was from 53. This was a good game. Chargers were up I think it was 24-6 at half, and then Bengals creeped their way back, tied it up. No, 27-6, tied it up, and then just J.K. Dobbins said, "Fuck it, game mode." All right, finally we have the Houston Texans going to AT&T Stadium and beating the Cowboys. Same thing with the Cowboys. Excuse me. They just need some renovations. Stroud, 257 yards and an interception. Joe Mixon ran 3 touchdowns and he had a day. 20 carries, 109 yards. Nico Collins, 4 catches, 54 yards. Tank Dell had the same stat line, so they both led the team in receiving. Jalen Petier had 9 tackles, 5 sacks for Houston, 6 tackles for loss, and 10 pass deflections. Derek Stingley Jr. with the interception, which was miscommunication. Well, it should have been pass interference, realistically. Kamari Fairbairn, 2 for 2 on field goals, long from 33. 92,969 people in attendance. Wow. Cooper Rush threw 354 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Rico Dowdle did nothing. CeeDee Lamb, 8 catches, 93 yards. Kamonte Turpin hit the top speed of the NFL season with a touchdown on 3 catches, 86 yards. And Eric Kendricks led the team tackles with 9. Dallas had 1 sack. It was by Aza. I don't know how to say that name. I'm sorry. Aza-O. 2 tackles for loss, 5 pass deflections. Malik Hooker had an interception. And Brandon Aubrey went 1 for 2 on field goals, long for 53. Yeah, I mean, it was a good game. It was kind of close, and then it just got out of hand. Houston really started pounding Dallas, but hopefully Dallas can figure it out. All right, but that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know in the comments, or on TikTok or any other social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, at J&D Sports Talk, of how your team did this week. Are you celebrating Victory Week? And who are you playing next? Do you think you're going to win? Stuff like that. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.